Yo, yo, yo. It is Thursday night. The boys are back in town. I'm your boy High Five Vega. We got Deadpool Dean on the other end, as
Hey,
always.
look at that. Hey, I was like, I gotta wear a Deadpool shirt.
You
Like
got
this
to.
is,
It's the
this,
release.
if you think about it, this is like the third Deadpool movie, right?
Right.
More exciting than the first Deadpool movie. It's almost like that
Wolverine.
they never existed. Bobby, slow down, man. You gotta let us get going through the intro first,
Yeah.
man. um, but anyways, yeah, I was like, I gotta wear a Deadpool shirt
Yeah.
because I didn't have an RVH shirt. Okay, there, we covered it. Obviously you've heard of that today.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
yeah. Um, it was funny because Fernando and I were talking about it. Back the way back when we first started doing these lives, Fernando and I, it was always Robert Van Hoyt. You know,
Yeah.
that was because he was an avid follower of the show. I mean, he did. Yeah. Um, apparently, he's been battling cancer.
Yeah. Yeah. He's
Uh,
been battling cancer for
I think a long time, right? It's been a
months or
while.
so now. Yeah. It's been a little
Yeah,
while.
yeah, yeah. It's very sad. Definitely very sad. The community has lost somebody very special. It was one of those things where he just kind of worked his way right into it.
Yeah.
And I honestly think it's because his name. You know,
That's part
those
of it.
those,
Yeah.
those 3 word names, man. There's just they stand out. They stand
Yeah.
out. I mean, and he was definitely one of the OGs. I mean, he's. I mean, I can't remember a time on our show going back the 10 years we've been doing it where he wasn't there.
Yeah, and he's
So
like I always love to make fun of RVH about. So he blew up, I think, three or four pairs of the kicker. What was the Q class mids?
oh yeah, Q class. Yeah.
Yeah, so I like to give him crap about that, But he was genuinely, that was my relationship with him. We gave each other shit.
And he was the only guy I know that ever was excited to get that stupid kicker
Right, the non DSP,
non
the
DSP
front row
DSP.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
front row.
yeah,
That's it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I blocked it out of my head.
yeah,
Like we had one in stock forever, and
yeah.
for some reason that was the one thing Paul finally sent back, which he
Right.
sends nothing back. So it was so crazy. But yeah, he was like the one guy. Um,
He was supposed to come to Slamology too, and
oh
I
yeah,
was he was supposed to be there this Sunday, and I didn't get a chance to see him. So that really sucks.
yeah, that does suck.
But as life is, that's kind of how it goes. There's been other people that, and RVH, he had his own YouTube channel where he did
Did
little,
he
yeah, he did some kind of vlog type videos. So
really?
he had one, and there was another guy that passed away a long time ago, Brent Ballard, which his what was his channel name? Cannot think of his channel name. El Fuego could probably put it in the chat.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah. No, he was a great guy. He'd always chime in. Lately, I think the news was his speed. So
yeah,
he would always be one of the guys to tell us like where he's at and what the weather is, which is kind of the game we play on that. So yeah, that'll be sad. That'll be sad for sure.
yeah,
Um, of course, we'll cover it in the news tomorrow because why would we not? Um, but yeah, I mean, and I feel like, and the community, as far as it's gone, he's definitely worked his way through all the groups. Obviously, friends with a lot of people in chat. Because I feel that like I feel it's one of those things where the chat, a lot of these guys just turned into friends and had a relationship outside of the chat. You
right,
know, they which is cool. Which is cool.
for sure.
That happens, because obviously Bobby's picture we didn't get to hook up when we were in California, but next time, bro.
Well, that's the crazy thing is like with the old school stereo meets that Derek has.
Yeah.
It's an excuse not only because you're going to come out and you get to meet Derek or whatever, but the thing is you get to meet the other people you talk to in the old school stereo Facebook group, or whatever it was. It's an excuse to come out and you get to meet, potential lifelong friends.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Andy's right. That's, it's one of those things where sometimes you kind of got to sit back and realize that it is a little bit more than what the surface shows us.
Right.
And, even though we all have these channels and we've all done this and people are like, oh, I can do that too. And they've gone off and, it's always fun to see like who would be in this chat, who would be in our chat, who would be over in Andy's chat, or, when you were doing the DIY guys in those chats and then the kicker chat. And yeah, it's just like, it's all over the place. And it's cool that there were guys that were, had this little group and they did it and, they got close. It's sad now. I mean,
right.
that's the problem with having friends, right? Jesus. No.
I'm always telling Derek and my other buddy that I'm interviewing younger friends. Because I need someone to be around.
Yeah, totally. All right. Let's not get all teary-eyed.
Yeah.
I like how Melissa's thrown this up to change the topic. So kudos for Melissa. Says, Dean, high five, since you both have daughters. If their boyfriend showed up with CCA wire, would you kick them out immediately? I almost had to. Yeah, you're right. Because that's just
the education camp, man.
That's not that. How are they going to provide for my daughter when they're too dumb to get the right power wire? Like that just means they're stupid. Okay, and if you're a CCA user,
what's worse, CCA or a North Carolina squatted truck?
Oh God! So we call that bulldogging, and it's becoming very popular.
Yeah,
I like to the point of like utter stupidity. I don't. We actually, it's funny. We were walking. Fernando and I had to go to Target the other day. Because the bathrooms were broken at the store,
in
the install bay, and so Paul went to Burger King, and I go, I'm not going to Burger King. That is disgusting. We're gonna walk to Target and take care of our business. We both do it at the same time, and we can come back. Anyways, so we're walking back, and there's this bulldog truck. This is the front, and Fernando's like, "What in the hell is that?" And I go, "Right." I mean, I don't even know how you see out of it. Like, it's just the dumbest thing ever.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of wrecks because of it.
Oh, yeah, and it's easy to run somebody over because you can't see them. I mean, it's just stupid. But, Fernando's like, boy, could you imagine something like that pulling up your driveway? I go, no.
I seen a video where it's this, it's kind of a stage video, but the dad and son meet the daughter's boyfriend. And the first time they have him on the boat, give him a hard time. The second time, he comes over with the squatted truck, and they go in his daughter's car to wherever they're going. The dad and the son, they lift the back end of the truck while he's gone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that would be hilarious.
Yeah.
I would have to question a couple things. For one, I'd have to question my daughter. Like, didn't I teach you better? I mean, clearly this boy can't be that smart. I mean, I mean, I feel like I know Haley enough to know that she would see that and immediately think you were the dumbest human on the face of the earth. Like, you just the CCA one might be a tough one, just because like
it's hard to tell until you pick it up.
Yeah, exactly. And she's not gonna like pop the hood and be like, "So what kind of wire you got in here?" But the truck. Like, she would see that and just be like, she would automatically give you the worst side eye you've ever seen, and they'd be like, "What?" She'd be like, "Nothing." just no hope for you. I mean, we've all seen her. She would just throw down on that shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know this person. I almost feel bad for him already. Like he would have no chance. He would never get to my driveway. He would have no chance.
Yeah.
She would just be like, "That's the dumbest. You're driving that? Wow, you might be cute, but you're an idiot." So dumb. Like,
what brand of car audio would you see in there, or maybe not even a brand? Like, what kind of install would you see and you're like, no, instantly, like, no, this kid's got to go?
I think we all know the answers to these questions. I don't even want to say them because we all know the answers to these questions. I would be better. I would be happier if he showed up and was just like oblivious to the whole thing. Be like, wow, that's a thing. Like, it's a thing. So that I could take him along for the journey. But dude, if this guy rolled up, just like I rolled up in my day, it was like he wouldn't have a Ryan. He can't afford that shit. Dude, he can't afford the old stuff, and he sure as hell can't afford the new stuff.
Right.
You might be able to get that like when it was the Miami-based Chinese company shit.
Was it MD Audio on them? Yeah.
Yeah, we got some of that shit in the shop. Anybody wants, we'll give you a good deal on.
The ones I could never repair.
Who the fuck knows, man? I saw it one day.
They had a situation. It was like, remember the T-Class chips in the old amps that eventually really good technology, and it was kind of like Class D, but A/B sound. But the tri-path chips started going out, and then nobody made them after so long. So it was like, well, they're done. They're absolutely done for. I mean, Zapco made a bunch of them. Like, they had a bunch of them.
That's what happens, man. That's why I like heat sinks.
Yeah. What's the C? It was the C2K, and it was the good Zapco amps that had it on there. So crazy.
As it turns out, Zep's a little crazy.
Yeah.
He's a crazy guy.
Bro, listen, anybody I've met in car audio from that era, they pretty much have been crazy.
Yeah.
I'll give Russell an exemption, and let me think who else. There's not many other. Yeah.
No, I give no exemptions. No, I can't.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's I mean, we all know what he would show up with because some of these kids are really not that bright when it comes to this stuff. So, I mean, I see him in the store all the time. I had this conversation with this guy last week. Guy's been a customer. His dad was a customer. So he's second generation customer. And he's buying some stuff, and I was like, okay. And he's like, well, what would you do in my truck? And I go, what does it matter? What I would do in your truck. I know what you want to do in your truck, so the two don't align. I think your truck is going to sound like, a hot turd on a tin roof, just sizzling away and smelling like shit. I said, but you'd think the same of my system that I designed for you. Probably not as much as the other way, because I could at least make my system sound good. Yours has no chance of sounding good. Like, it's just going to sound like, bah! He's like, well, what would it take? I'm like, I don't know, $8,500. And he's like, I was like, listen, man, you don't want to do it. You don't want to do it. I mean, you want to do it to like prove me wrong, prove me right. What you want to grow up? I mean, where are we at in this conversation? Like, what do you want to do? I mean, I'm clearly just making fun of you because I've known you your whole life. But if you want me to make your truck sound amazing, I'll be more than happy to do it. But
the question is, would it be amazing to him? Because what does he really want? He probably
exactly. And that was the point I was trying to say. And I always fall back to the example of when I had the Helix tweeter in my pocket, and I walked out to the dude and I said, hey dude, see this tweeter? This is $3,000. And he's like, bro, that must be the loudest tweeter I've ever heard in my life. And I'm like, why would you think money equates loudness? Like, what do the two have to do with one another?
Sound quality. Loudness is sound quality to some people.
Loudness is sound quality to some people. Apparently, not everyone anymore can appreciate loud stereos all day long, blasting while they're sitting in a park and the car is aimed towards their booth. That might apparently make some people not happy.
Oh, dude, them stump walls, they can get pretty.
Oh, them are some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Say it, Dean. Yeah.
Definitely not for me. But what I will say is, like, if I see someone with scar, right, I have more respect for them than the cheap, like Top Don or whatever you see on Amazon.
Like some Temu shit?
Yeah. The cheapest you can get, right?
Right.
Because it's like Scar, obviously cheap, but there's some level of it's not going to be, if it's rated 1,000 watts, it's not going to do 100 watts. It's probably going to do like 500 watts or 600 watts or something like that.
No, it'll do 1,000 watts, just not in your car.
Right, yeah. That's what I'm saying, in your car, but there's a level of accountability, like Audioban. And people hate this that I say this, but Audioban was always flea market junk to me.
Yes,
right.
100%.
But they had some decent stuff for the money. It
wasn't everything from everyone can be great, and not everything can suck.
Right.
There's always something that's that gem of a product. Listen, you know, if you're trying to put an amplifier in your car and you roll up and you buy like a Scar Audio RP 750.1, I think it's what it's called. Yeah. 750 watt amp. It's going to do its power. It's going to be inefficient, but it's a 750 watt amp drawing the power for like 1,000 watt amp, you know, but who cares? You know, if all you're powering is a 12, it's probably going to be fantastic. You know, is it the best? No, it doesn't have a good high level to low level circuit. It's inefficient as hell, but it's a 750 watt amp for 140 bucks.
Maybe not even that much.
Yeah, probably 120 bucks. So, I mean, how are you going to go wrong with that if all you're trying to do is power a single 12 and get through the day? I mean, you'll probably be fine. You're probably fine. Now, the problem comes in is that you bought the CCA wire kit and you try to install it yourself. So it just looks like somebody went like this and threw it in the car. And you're like, okay, you know. So... So we were working on the Shelby F-150 this week.
Right.
The guy, big fan of the show, was like, came in, talked to me at one point, and then decided he was going to do it himself. And so he went off to Sounds Good, Sage and the boys, and bought all their panels, which is great because Sage makes the best panels. We're probably going to bring in some of his panels just so I don't have to build them anymore. Because I'd rather build other things.
Right.
He does it's a fantastic job. So why not just sell his and be done with it? And some FLAC speakers and a JL audio amp. And he bought though, Moscone 8-10, one 8-10. And he decided he wanted to swap out his JL 500 to the 1000. So it was whatever their straight power amp is that they're going to get rid of here soon. And so, you know, he put in the 500, he put in the factory amp, he had the LC2i Pro, and it was playing.
Right.
Like, okay, cool. He never bothered to bypass the ANC, so it was making weird noises, but he was fine with it. And I was like, okay. So we take it all apart, and it looked really good, like ferrules, zip ties, Tessa tape. Everything on the surface was as right as it could be. And I was like, okay, he followed the videos. He did a great job. You know, everything was neat. The holes were out. And then we got to the one thing where he made that choice where the difference between us and everybody else is when they make that choice of settling on doing it as dumb as humanly fucking possible. and he had... So we all know it's an aluminum truck. I've told everyone 1,000,000 times where the two factory ground points are in the back, up by the windows. There's a ground, one on the left, one on the right. Pick one. If you're not going to the battery, use one of those because those are factory ground points. And he didn't do that. Instead, he took a piece of 4-gauge wire, stripped it about that much, left the end on it. So he cut it, and then he cut the end off, so it had a nipple on the end.
Yeah.
Then he flattened it out, and he made a ring terminal. And then he did something that I've never seen before in a long, long time. I don't think I've ever seen it before. I pulled the screw out for the seat, sanded the steel on the seat.
Yeah.
Put the braided wire, separated it, put the bolt through it, screwed that bitch into the car. So you got a bolt, aluminum car with paint on both sides, an anodized seat frame touching that aluminum, but the top piece is sanded and there's a bolt going through it. And I'm just looking at it going, how in the fuck did this thing work? God loves stupid people. There's no doubt about it. There's a place in if you believe in God or whoever is up there, there's a place in his heart for people to do stupid things so that they don't ruin shit. Because I was like, how in the fuck is this working? Like this amp must work off 9 volts because this is not getting any goddamn power to it at all. Like it was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And it just didn't make any sense because it was like everything was perfect.
Yeah.
Till you got to that point, and I was like, what in the fuck is this? Like, how did you do all of this and fuck that up?
Yeah.
The nice thing is after that, he realized that he was out of his league and promptly came in with the keys and was like, can you finish this for me? I'm like, yep.
Yeah. I have done the seat ground several times, actually. But
I've seen the underseat grounds, but it's usually like a ring terminal or it's wrapped around. I mean,
that's crazy. Yeah. That
stupidity
is crazy.
has no limits.
But I don't have new vehicles. Well,
right.
Cassie does. Like all my vehicles are like 2000,
right.
2001.
Yeah.
So it's like it's metal on metal. And
bro, this is $100,000 F-150, bro.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck you thinking, man?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just dumb. I just laughed. I was like, I mean, dude, he even went so far as put thermal spacers or nutserts into the plastic that he was screwing into. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like the level of detail he put into this was just off the chain, and then to end it with that, I was just like, oh man, it's like,
listen, I'm telling you,
like finding a fly in your cake.
You've been messing with this, especially like if this is his only ride, and you decided you're spending a weekend doing this, and it's like now I got to ride to work with no tunes or figure out how to make it work. I guarantee that's what happened.
Well, luckily he stopped it. The sub amp was working. I mean, that was the thing; it was working, and it was fine. So I just don't know how it was working. Right. So it was like, okay, because I
hopes and prayers.
Dude, I love it when people put screws through. I'm sorry. I have tech support. I was in the garage tuning the Audison thing before we started,
right?
And we were having microphone issues, and so we finally got the microphone issues figured out. So when we're done with the show tonight, I got to go back out in the garage and see if I can get this to do everything I need it to do so that we can film it again on Monday.
Much to Fro's dismay, I ended up getting rid of my Audison 8.9 that I never even installed. My buddy's he's in the middle of a rebuild. He got a bunk Moscone amp.
Oh wow!
And I was like, dude, and he's gonna run a different sub amp. And I was like, listen, I got an SR 1.500 and an 8.9. Use these. I'm probably not gonna put them in within the next couple of years anyway. So what's it matter?
Right.
So he got them, and that'll be an excuse for me to just buy a Blackbird.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you mine.
There you go. that
or Blackbird, my other Audison.
Yeah, no. That or the small little DSP. Where are the other?
Yeah. Jeez. I'm sorry. it just never ends. Okay. I think I'm done. Yeah, right? Yeah.
And I've never faced that. Like I may, so I'm probably not going to put it. It's so crazy the Mercedes system, but it does sound good at moderate volumes, in my opinion. The tweeters are a little harsh, but outside of that, it's okay. I might be getting a new vehicle, so now I got to decide what am I going to do with it. Especially if
I think you should just pull mine. Just talk all about all the shit you want to do to it, and never do.
And then never do it. I mean, listen, I've already been doing that move anyway, so
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I could go full base head. I got a Warhorse and I got the 4-channel Warhorse. I got the monoblock Warhorse. I could go full base head tomorrow if I wanted to. I'm not going
to. You could if you added some kind of giant battery.
Actually, yeah, that's where you lose me.
I know, right? But the Warhorse, you couldn't run it without a battery, but it's for what it is. It's pretty efficient.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it's just crazy. Melissa really likes ARC.
Yeah.
I was talking with them before I left today because they're working on some new products and they had some samples and they wanted to get our opinion on the color combinations. We're looking at drapes. They're putting drapes up in the office. I was like, oh, those are pretty drapes. I like those drapes.
Yeah.
I don't like those drapes. Those drapes don't work. But yeah. Following up on last week's Blackbird input gain question, I spoke with Brad and he said to set to 8 volts and gain up 6 dB, and that would be like a 4-volt setting. Well, there you go. And if Brad said to do it, that's what you do. Because if it doesn't work, he's the one that has to fix it.
Right.
Yeah. Remember, if any of you ever call ARC and you talk to Brad, other than being the boss, he's also the head nerd. So he is tasked with making every idea that Zeph has a reality.
Right.
So his office is fucking cool because it's got, his office is the coolest thing ever. It's like soundproof. He's got these giant monitors, and the other side, I took a picture of a desk when we were out there that had like an AP and all that shit.
Yeah.
That's his office. That's like the wall in his office. I'm like, dude, you got an AP in your office. Like, you suck, bro. Like, I want one.
Yeah, it's only like what, $28,000?
Yeah, 20, 50, whatever. Either, I mean, I'm sure you get a used one. I don't know. The coolest thing is there was these speakers that he made that are it's like a 4-inch, and it's a type of design that somebody probably made back in the 60s or 70s. It's got a tube, and then there's a speaker that fires up into a ball, and then in the ball is the tweeter.
Yeah.
And so the way it works is the tube is the back chamber to produce the bass, and then it fires in the ball, which causes a dispersion pattern to fill the room, and then the tweeter is directional. And so he mocked these things up, and like they're like, if you bump them, they'll fall over. But those are his computer speakers, and the math worked out perfect so that they come up right behind his desktop screens.
Yeah.
So and you just sit there and you're like, what the fuck is? And the funniest part of it all is the balls are just like little red like squeezy balls that he hollowed out to put the tweeter in. But he needed a riser to go between the tube and the ball. So he took 2 blown tweeters that were the right height and he screwed those in. So I'm looking at it going, why is there these? What are these? It took me like a minute to figure out, wait, there's no wires hooked up to the tweeters because the wire for the other tweeter. And I was like, are these tweeters just spacers? He goes, yeah, they were the right height. So I used them. And I go, that's the craziest shit ever. He goes, I know, but it worked. They sound good. I go, oh, they do. They sound really good.
Trying shit.
Yeah, but nerd shit. He was bored one day and was like, I've always wanted to do one of those. So, yeah. The ape, yeah, it's only $7,000. Yeah, it's no problem.
They have multiple versions, but that's the good thing of like using a brand that's a known quantity, like Art, Kicker, Rock Fosgate. Like when something goes wrong, say as long as you've bought it from authorized dealer and you didn't buy it on eBay, and it's under warranty, like someone, or even if it's not on warranty, you have some kind of tech support.
Yeah. You know, it's funny too, because I ran into it to a couple times in the last couple months. Like we just bought new 3D printers, so we have Bamboos,
Yeah.
and we've been using the shit out of them. But when they came, we were getting ready to go away on vacation, and I couldn't get one of the girls to throw them in the cars and bring them up to the store.
Right.
So they sat in the office for like a month. Well, as it turns out, when we went to finally open them 2 months later,
Right.
one of the glass doors was shattered. And I was like, okay, that's fucking cool. So you go on and you find out you only have 7 days. So, you know, it's like, I never open something the minute I get it, because I just, until I have time to deal with it,
Yeah.
I don't want to think about it. It's like, it's cool. It's here. It'll just sit there, and once I get a moment, I'll fucking dig into it. And as it turns out, that cost me $50 because I had to go buy a new door. But you could buy a new door, and I was like, all right, ouch, it's $50. That kind of sucks, but whatever. You know, at least I can buy it. But the sucky thing is there's no one to call.
Right.
It's freaking China. There's no one to call. There's like 600 videos. Watch a video. Like there's no, you know, I'm texting back with Ken Ward right now, and he's, you know, because we're trying to get this figured out, and he's like, you know, when you tonight try this and it should work, and I was like, okay, and other shit that I'm not supposed to say, and I was like, okay, cool, and you know, so that's, you know, Audison has Ken, and then it has people here in the United States, because he actually works for Audison Europe.
Right.
So we're fortunate enough here in the States that we have the global trainer access to. So he writes all the training manuals for the whole world, and creates content for all these guys to follow. So, you know, that's freaking cool. Ark, we have Brad, we have Brian, we have Fred, and then 3 other nerds that won't ever talk on the phone because they probably like, no. You know, when you call Kicker, who they're looking for a new tech support guy if you feel like living in Oklahoma. You know, Cody started out as tech support. But yeah, you know, you have tech support that can immediately help you. And if they can't figure it out, they can just walk over to the engineering guys who are down the hall.
Right.
And you know, it can move over to, I've sent something back to service, and I had Joe go over and grab it, bring it into his lab, and do some more testing on it. So that, because, you know, they're like, we can't find any problems with it. And we're like, well, clearly there's something going on here. You know, let's figure this out, because it's if it's not the amp, it's power and ground, dude. Like, you know,
Yeah.
Why is it cutting off? You know, so come to find out, after dealing with it and going round and round and getting it in the right person's hands, that's how we figured out the Q class doesn't work in a modern vehicle, because in a GM it spikes up to 15 volts. Well, that has a hard no.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it's like,
that might be the most regulated amp I've ever messed with.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
There you go. Who better than Andy to get trained on the Kicker tech support?
Yeah, you can't work remotely. Yeah, literally, and someone asked, and Sandy's like, no. Yeah. Ken does not still own Musicar with Tom. He sold his share to Tom several years back. But yeah, no.
Andy just moved to Oklahoma, man. It's gotta, I mean, let's be honest. You live in Pennsylvania.
I would move to Oklahoma if I lived in Pennsylvania too.
I would move to Oklahoma as well.
Yeah.
You can't be saying yins. You're gonna have to go from saying yins to y'all, and then that's it. You're good.
I don't even think they talk in Oklahoma. I can't recall hearing anybody talk.
Yeah.
But either way, I mean, it's you know, Rockford's the same way. I mean, Rockford literally, you have the first round of people, you have the second round of people, and there again, all the engineers are in the building. You know, anyone that has anything to do with the amplifiers are right down the hall, so it can get You know, the funny part is a lot of these companies don't even care past that though. Like if these guys can't deal with it, clearly there's a problem with it. Let's just get you a new one and move on.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so some of these companies, you know, some are big and some are small, but they have, if you have problems. So now, okay, so let's talk about some of these. Okay, so for example, let's talk about a small company, Morale. Morale is a very small company because it's 4 people in the United States now. It's 4 people. One of them has nothing to do with 12 volt. Casey is the head of everything of 12 volt, and you have his new assistant, which probably doesn't want to be called his assistant. And then you have Natasha that handles billing and all that other fun stuff, creative stuff, nothing technical. So just the back end side of things, making people get their stuff and orders go out and all that, you know, very important role. But if you have an issue, you know, you call and talk to Casey or his assistant, and those are the people that take care of that. So one of the questions we often get with them is, where's the DSP? And, you know, Casey's been in this industry as long as I have. So he knows what that's followed with, which is tech support calls. I mean, literally, I'm texting Ken about a DSP. It's 9 o'clock my time. It just hit 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock his time. So we're still dealing with it. And I'm easy as far as these things go. I'm not having a fucking meltdown here. I'm just like,
Right.
Hey, bro,
need to figure this out. Yeah.
What button do I need to press? You know, what video should I watch? What do you need me to do? You know, no stress, no problem. I'm cool. I don't freak out. But there are people that's like, this fucking shit is dumb. I can't find what the fuck is wrong. You know, blah, blah. And you're just like, bro.
Yeah. Buy another one.
Numbers. Hey. Let me dial into your computer and we'll walk you through this. Okay. It's all good. Woosah. You know?
Right.
You know, so with that being said, you know, when you ask, hey, why don't we have a DSP? And he's like, oh man, trust me, we've got one. I know where to get the smoking ass DSP that I want. It's ready. Just need some artwork and a box and an instruction manual that says open box. Who's going to take care of the questions? Who's going to answer the tech support? You know, I'm up to my eyeballs in just dealing with speakers and the small amount of amplifiers we have.
Right.
How are we going to take DSP questions? Like, how do you do that? And I'm like, oh no, I totally understand.
Yeah.
I totally understand. You know, and Phoenix Gold, when it was that's why they dropped the DSP. Because they were like, oh, dude. And to think that, you know, they bought Audio Control, which is a DSP company.
Yeah.
You know, oh, that was dumb.
Dude, I can imagine like the amount of calls that like PAC or Metra gets from their integration pieces. Like, oh my God.
It's obscene. It's like 6, 8, 10 guys.
Because then you're dealing with like everybody does an install on a modern vehicle is going to use some sort of product like that.
Oh, they're going to fuck it up too.
Yeah.
They're just gonna. So, you know, so now when you go, okay, so because everyone's like, oh, why doesn't so and so have a DSP? Whoa, slow down. I mean, you know, because who's going to answer those tech support calls? So now you look at some of those manufacturers that just came out with a DSP. They're like, bro, we got easy DSP. Wait till people start having problems with that shit. Who are they going to call?
Yeah.
The marketing guy?
That makes it tough, man.
I mean, and there again, it could be the most solid, amazing piece on the face of the earth. Not knocking that. But who are you going to call when you got a problem?
Well, the problem is not usually not the equipment. It's the operator of the equipment.
Oh, 100%. But it's not. They don't. It's there's.
Right. Yeah.
But your Magic Phoenix Gold did make a DSP. I mean, I have their DSP, and it was fantastic. It was Jeff's DSP.
Yeah.
It had some really cool features that would have been fantastic if they would evolve them. But that's the problem. Just like Kenwood. Kenwood said, nope, we're done.
Yeah.
It was like, what? I mean, you guys are on the right track. Just keep going. Nah. Don't want
to. Dude, I just quit imagining Phoenix Gold anything after like 2005.
Correct. But if you go to Europe, now Europe, they have like 6 DSP amplifiers. Like they're full on, like, dude, if you want to see awesome Phoenix Gold DSP stuff, just look at the Europeans. They got it all. They got it all, Bobby. And it's fantastic. Sounds good, looks amazing, works great. Because we had nothing to do with it here in the States. It's all them. You know,
that's like Kenwood, like you said, they had the one DSP amp that worked with the pack module or something like that.
work with iData.
With iData.
Yeah.
But
they were the first iData amplifier to work with that.
Yeah.
You know, so DSR1 was that, and then so those two pieces launched, and they were all ironed out, and they all worked, and they were fantastic, and they did what they were supposed to do.
I know Kenwood, they make some killer budget amps. Like if they had,
fantastic,
they could do an entry level budget DSP amp, and it. You
Never
would
will.
think it would sell gangbusters, but you never know, I guess.
No, it would. It
Yeah.
would. The problem is they're not going to do it. They do not want to. Listen, there's two guys that answer the phone here in the States. If you got a problem, there's two guys. That's it. You know, they might have a call service that reads the owner's manual to you for consumers, but outside of that, like Tech 2 support, there's two guys.
Right.
You got Markish, you got Josh. There's a new guy that Josh just hired because Josh took over Seth's job, who isn't answering the phones. So there's some new dude that is learning. So that's it. Those are the two guys. That's, you know, and they have to fend every question, you know, and it's like, it's not going to happen. So, you know, that's, like you said, having an awesome tech support team is difficult. You know, Jeff went to MSC for that reason. They needed somebody that could come in and clean it all up and make sense of the whole thing, and then put it into packages that they could put out there, so you don't need to call tech support, you know, so that you can, you know, supporting documents, like supporting information is most important. Like we just got done doing a couple months back, we did Sage's video on the Barney, which we released on Dino Fernandez Car Stereo Clips. We didn't put it on the regular channel because it wasn't made for us, but we needed somewhere to put it so that the people could share it,
right?
So that, you know, the company could share it, because they don't have their own YouTube channel. So we're like, all right, we'll put it here. I mean, I have no problem putting it on mine, but I mean, whatever. It's easier if it goes there. And you know, it's a step-by-step from point A to point B, 25-minute long video on how to use Barney, how to set up the computer, how to hit all the buttons, you know. And it was like, we sat in a hotel room or in a conference center in a hotel room in Arizona for like 5 or 6 hours filming these things, just so that it would, like, here. You know? But dude, we literally, they rented a hotel room, we set the whole thing up, we brought the cameras, you know, I was fucking 5 hours of just filming this shit so that we could get this 20-minute video on how to do it. It was insanity. Jeff will fix it. Of course Jeff will fix it. It's a big fix though. Like, you know, I was talking with Jeff yesterday. He was in the shop, and we were going over some of the stuff with MSC, because if he can get me to understand what it is that we're missing, then it works, right?
Yeah.
You know, like, okay, I'm on the right path, because I'm resistive to everything. I'm like, you know, you guys, he knows. Yeah, I know a lot of shit, but I also push back really, really hard.
So what all does MSC deal with? What product lines do they have that I would know?
MSC is Helix.
Okay, so it's just okay.
Yeah, Helix, Brax, and so it's Audio Tech Fisher.
Yeah.
MSC is Mobile Solutions Calgary, which is the rep firm that handles Audio Tech Fisher and Blam in the United States, and I think they do radar of some kind.
Yeah, so they do all they're German as hell.
Oh yeah. Ooh, wee. Yeah. Uns very German. Nick Apicilla was just there, so if you follow him he was just out at their facility. I know Jeff's gonna go later this month, or later next month, I think. September, maybe? Yeah. Really nice guys. Julian Fisher, really nice dude. They're all really cool guys. I mean, the Germans, I haven't really met any Germans that were anything less than German. You know, they're all nice guys. They all seem very smart. They all like singular point of focus when it comes to their products. Oh, and we make the best.
Yeah.
You know, that's why you hire the Italians. You know, so it's really cool stuff. Because it's funny though, because like the Germans almost don't want to do anything like anybody else when we do it our way, you know. And it's like, okay, cool. The French, man, how we do this? That looks cool.
As we
do
get
that.
our lunch, I don't care what we do.
Yeah, they don't give a shit, man. They're just like, you want a 5-channel? Yeah, we'll make a 5-channel. Like, I feel like the French have just given up fighting the put. Right. Just like, what do you think we should build? We should build this. Okay, yeah, just build it. Somebody else build it. Can we see what it looks like? It looks like this. All right, we'll just build that.
Well, I heard it explained in a car channel that I follow, and they're talking about the difference between Japanese and German cars. And it's like, and Honda specifically, in like BMW, and it said Honda's like, we know you're never going to do oil changes. We know you're not going to do this and all that. We're going to build it as solid as we can, assuming you're not doing any of this thing.
Right.
He's like, BMW, on the other hand, is like, who would not do the recommended maintenance?
Right.
You know, it's like, if they don't do the recommended maintenance, they deserve it to die.
Well, and it's funny too, because like, you know, and that's a valid point. No, Jeff still lives in Atlanta. Jeff moved back to Atlanta. He flies in. He was in this week because he had to go to Eduardo's Techno Express to help him with some stuff. And so then he drove over here because Eduardo's in Orlando and we're just, you know, we're on the other side. So he flies out of Tampa, or he drove here. So he drove over to us. He had to stop at some stuff. Plus he had a car he had to tune for another dealer in the area. It's because he still has his own business. So a lot of the dealers that hired him to do tuning, he still does that for. He just, you know, tries to block them together where it makes more sense. But, you know, when we were in Austria, the cars were beautiful. Like, these are old. I mean, every car looked brand new. And I'm like, you know, I went to Doug and I said, did they just own all new cars? I mean, he was like, yeah, no shit. These are like, you didn't see a rust bucket. You didn't see a hoopty. They were all clean.
Right.
You know, they all looked, I mean, they're 10-year-old cars, but they look fantastic. And I'm like, this is so weird. Like, because in the States, nah, we don't give a shit about none of that.
It'll fall off this bitch. That's it.
Yeah, we're driving it till there's nothing. The floor pan falls out and 4 wheels don't match. And
the service tech's like, hey, you need brakes. There's no pattern.
No, I
came for an oil change. I just came for an oil change. That's it.
Yeah. Brakes are next. Then tires.
Yeah.
Maybe tires first, then brakes. Either way. You know, it's all good. I got an emergency brake.
There you go.
Just tap that a few times. Slows me right down. For the money, the camera is really nice. It just needs a newer version for us to sell it again. It's got stiff competition. Does it have stiff competition? Really? Who? Who are you gonna say? Alpine? Pfft, come on, give me a break.
I would say the Kicker Key.
Yeah, but the Kicker Key is an animal of its own. It's a 4-channel. So I mean, listen,
in that price range that someone will be considering one or the other.
So for me, I have the 802.5 and then the 901.5. That's it. That's all I sell. I don't sell the 1,000-watt. I don't sell the 4-channel, the mono block. I don't sell any of that crap. I sell the 2 5-channels. That's it. New versions of them coming out soon. Maybe. I don't know anything. But there again, it's going to be a rev, right? It's going to be a rev. Probably change it from, it went from a shade of black to a shade of bluish black. Maybe it'll go to like a shade of brownish black or silverish black. It's like,
at least they're doing something, man, because there's only 2 like head units I'd even consider buying right now from brands, and it's Kenwood and Sony.
Like, I'm not Sony 9500 or a Kenwood 9000 series.
Right, yeah. I'm never looking at Pioneer again. And Alpine's just kind of like they're just out there.
Bro, we had to do a Pioneer the other day. I wanted to kill. I was like, why would we sell this to anyone and have us put this in? Dude, and it was funny. So the joke this was the joke. So when the Hi-10 came out, my biggest complaint of the Hi-10 was, look, guys, this is serious. This is really cool. Does a lot of shit. The harnesses suck. The harnesses just scream of Chinese trash.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we know. We're gonna, in another iteration, we're gonna have plugs that make sense. And I go, okay, that's cool. The new Pioneer came out. It's got the same cheap Chinese harnesses on the back of it as the Hi-10 does. And so before Jeff left there, I said, it was one of the guys I knew there. And I said, wow, hey, you know what happens with time and patience, right? You guys don't have to worry about changing your plugs anymore because now Pioneer's using the same shitty Chinese plugs you guys are. So now they're okay. Because Pioneer's using them. He goes, yeah, it's amazing. You wait long enough, it becomes cool.
There you go.
And I was like, no.
I'm going to be wearing bell bottoms soon enough.
Yeah. Hello from Japan. I can't wait for you guys to put the Sony Nanos. Yeah, we were talking about that today. So we have a plan for Fernando's car. As far as how we're going to do it. It's not going to be fantastic, but it's got to start here soon.
Whoa.
Well, so it's going to be steps. We're going to step through it. The radios, I think step 2 will be step 2. Step 1
he's got the Sony dial, right?
No, we're going to go with the 9500.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I forgot he wrecked his car. So he's got nothing.
We're just going to use the one that we were going to put in Sue's car. We're going to put it in his car. And then because I still have the Kenwoods and the JVCs I can put in Sue's car.
Yeah.
So we'll just move those into his. The big trick is going to be what speakers and amps, because I know what he wants, and it's going to be convincing them to let us have those.
Right.
So because he wants Moscone, he wants the Moscone Pro speakers and the Moscone Pro amps.
They make Pro speakers? I didn't know.
I'm sorry, Gladen. He wants the Gladen Pro.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's
the same.
They picked the name to match the amps, even though it's Moscone and Gladen. It's Moscone Pros, Gladen Pros.
Right.
Step 1, sound dampening. We have a ton of sound dampening that we can put in there. So we still have. Actually, we'll probably put all the Morel sound dampening in his car because we still have tons of that we need to use. So, and they have like 3 different types, so it'll be fine. You know, so sounds like 2 videos to me.
I just had a video idea. So Boss makes the Elite head units now, right? And they look pretty nice.
Yes.
Compared to what they typically do. I should, because they reached out about doing one. And I didn't respond yet, but maybe I should get that and then buy a Pioneer of the same amount of money and do a little showdown between the two.
Yeah, I wouldn't waste your money. So the biggest, as soon as Boss becomes iData compatible,
yeah,
which is coming, it's coming. That will put them in a whole nother category because that automatically takes them out of that 3rd tier range,
right,
and puts them into, oh yeah, we take this shit serious. So it'll be interesting to see who follows suit on that one. So, but yeah, we really need to. They need that first,
right?
But
Randy.
yeah. All right, man. See you next time.
Yeah, you're not being iData compatible is that's a pretty big ding because you're much harder to get into newer.
Yeah. Well, so so the cool thing is iData realizes that some manufacturers suck.
Yeah.
And they still make iData incompatible radios. So the new iData harness, which is we haven't even talked about this yet. It's not the SR. It might be the SR. So they have so there's something right below the RR now,
right?
Which is a cheap interface. And it'll do steering wheel controls. It'll give you all your accessories. So it's basically their version of a pack piece, you know, a smart dumb harness.
Right.
The difference is when you put in a pack piece or a Metro piece, you have to, if there's a feature in the radio, you have to program it. And then when you pull the radio out, it gets locked into the computer's memory, and it'll always stay that way. Because you're just turning on ones and zeros. Unless you lose the body control module of the car and they aren't able to flash it, in which case now you're fucked. The joy of the iData RR or RR2 is that all those features are still there because they've just written that into the operating system.
Right.
So the new interface that they've come out with, we put one in the other day, is cheap like the pack. Okay, which the pack isn't that cheap, but this is cheaper. And it has Bluetooth built into it. So now what happens is if there's a feature that's built into the car that you want to change, you download the app to your phone, the iData app, and then you launch it and you pair to the unit in the dash, and all your features that you want to adjust are on your phone. So if you decide you want to change your headlight time, let's say you're not allowed to turn the key off at nighttime, that's programmable through the radio. Well, fuck, I lost it. Now you just open your app on your phone, pair to it, and you can do that. You can change how the door lock works or whatever features were built in the radio are still there. They're built in the module, and you're using the phone to control it to the radio. So, like, that's pretty important.
Yeah. Listen, I remember updating the ADPRS with a flash drive. No, the flash drive didn't work. I had to burn it to a CD.
Yeah.
Which means I had to dig out the oldest computer I have to burn a CD to update the firmware. So that was not a good experience.
Skip ahead unit and go Bluetooth into a DSP. Nah, man, do digital.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I can't do that. I don't want to just control.
Obviously, it doesn't work properly. Yeah, I prefer it when all the left sub is off and strictly for volume with no effect on boost. Okay.
Talking about bass knobs, I think.
Yeah, I started using my FiO 11, and I like it better than using my Kenwood 958 XR. Oh, very nice. Yeah. So the cool thing about the FiO is that it has iTunes built into it. So
it's like an iPod.
Yeah, so you can download all your high res Apple Music to it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, that's actually really cool. I don't know if it's enough for me to want to do it because I don't see it working in my life any better than just having a phone. But I mean, if you get a Dragonfly DAC for your phone and a camera kit, you get all the high res out of the phone that it can handle. We were testing that the other day because the Dragonfly will light up to tell you what the bit rate is of the song coming out of it.
Yeah.
So, granted, it goes off to an aux port, but if you have a device like that can handle digital in or USB in, you can camera kit out to it.
Well, that's the best thing about with the way the phones work now, that they could make this happen. That they may not be, but you have all your digital analog converters in here, and you can do it digitally through USB-C.
Yeah, you just need to be able to shut those off.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be fantastic. When is ARC coming out with a conductor type of controller? I don't have a time frame on that. I don't even. The answer is yes. Yes. When? No,
I found that I really don't care for those. My buddy, a lot of people love them.
I don't like any knobs.
Yeah, I do love. I love a good, volume knob, but in this in particular.
Nice. There you go. That's how you hook it up, Chris. Good call. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not one. So to me, it reminds me of like a German car where you have the stupid turn, pop, 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 in like.
Yeah.
The reality is most people, everyone that we've, when I say most people, most of our customers, which is pretty much all of them, they want to hop into the car and they want to go like this because that's what they've been doing. They just want to turn it up. They don't want, a subwoofer level. It's right there. It's got to be convenient. What does that do? It turns the bass down. Why would I want to do that? I don't know. Sometimes it's annoying. Is it? Yeah, that's what they tell me. I like to, when I'm tuning the car, to be able to turn it down because I don't want to hear it. But it's still just like, okay, I'm gonna turn it down. Other than that, it's like I had one guy that had to have a conductor, and it was a goddamn nightmare.
Yeah.
It was just a nightmare. It was
the only thing I would use it for is if I was competing and I wanted like 2 different tunes, like what I would do every day.
And that's very useful.
And that's the only way, because anytime I'm messing with anything inside it, I'd rather just have the laptop open and do it that way. I don't want to do it through the controller. Some of them you can change some things, some you can't.
Dude, an ARC controller, you can do everything. You can tune the car. You could tune the whole car from its controller. The whole EQ display, built in the controller.
Yeah, see, I'd rather just get on the laptop, though.
I would rather just get on a laptop, too, but it's there to do if you want to.
And a lot of people will do it, I guarantee you, when they get it. Especially if they're like, I spent, $300 on this, I'm going to get my $300.
That's why I don't sell them.
Yeah.
Because I don't want any of that shit. I don't want anyone to ask me why they bought something.
Yeah.
And even when people go, I was thinking about getting this, and I go, all right, time out. Why? What are you going to use it for? Well, like master volume, you have one. It's right there in front.
Mm-hmm.
Subwoofer level control, small one. We can mount it over here. Change EQ. Well, have you ever adjusted the basement treble on your radio once you set it up? No. Okay. So why do we need it?
Exactly.
And where are we going to put it where it's actually going to be functional?
Well, the thing is, they're coming to you to get it installed. They probably shouldn't be messing with the EQ anyways.
Well, yeah, it's true, but whatever.
It's like that's the whole reason they go to you, so you guys can install it, tune it, make it sound good.
Correct, Bobby. It's just use your steering control. Yeah, I agree. I'm not a knob guy. I know everyone likes them because they got lights and they do all kinds of shit, but
yeah,
the one from a Sony will be cool because it'll have track up and down built into it. So if you are doing something like a portable DAC and you've paired to it, you can use it to control as a controller for your DAC, which would be fun, right? That's at least doing something other than volume up and down. I still don't think I'll do any of them, but it's there if you need it.
Tim Apple agrees with you. He hates knobs too.
Yeah,
he hates buttons as well.
Okay, I don't mind buttons. I just don't like knobs. They're stupid. But oh well. Hey, it's a touchscreen world. Let's put a knob on everything.
Yeah, but touchscreen's got its own. This is a whole car side jag. We could talk about it on another show we do.
It's true. It's true. We won't, but we can because we got other cool shit to talk about. So that's it for tonight then.
And no show next week.
No show next week.
No, because I have a management review. It's going to run late, so I won't be done in time.
Bummer.
I'll be traveling the week after, but I can take my laptop and hook up in the hotel Wi-Fi, different locale, but no show next week.
Okay.
So
I'm just finding out with you guys. I think it's bullshit.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I won't stand for it.
It's fine. It's bullshit. All right. Cool. Hey guys, thanks for watching this week.
We'll see you next time.